So this is going to be a three-part series of where I review two different headphones that are heating up in this headphone wars. Ooh, I really love the sound of that, headphone wars. But I am going to be taking a three-part video and breaking down two headphones that are going to be the most hot and most popular headphones for Android, Apple users, etc. And we're going to find out exactly which one is it worth your money. And it starts today with the AirPods Pro. So let's go. YouTube, what's poppin'? Michael here, welcome back to Technoid. Now, as I've said, this is a three-part video series of where I will be reviewing the Galaxy Buds Plus, the AirPods Pros, and the final video will be where I compare both headphones in a breakdown and I give you guys the honest opinion of which one is worth your money. Now, to everybody that saw my last comparison video, that was terrible, so I'm going to change it up and I'm going to make sure it's good this time, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So without further ado, let's start with these bad boys. So, AirPods Pros. I actually did not think I would be reviewing these because I am not an Apple user and I really don't review Apple products anymore because I have Android. But I would like to take this moment to thank the person responsible for getting me these headphones for absolutely free. Miss Russo, you know who you are. Thank you so much. You have no idea how much this means to me, and this video would not be possible if it wasn't for your gift, amazing gift, I would say. So thank you so much once again for your consideration and your care. Now with that out of the way, let's get this going. So AirPods Pros is Apple's long-awaited refresh for their headphones. Now let's take a quick trip. In 2017, Apple removed the headphone jack, and in its place, they replaced it, or somewhere around 2016 into 2017, well, whatever. Apple removed the headphone jack, and as you can expect, everybody was pissed off. So what was their answer? AirPods. And for a while, AirPods have been popular. Everybody loves AirPods. I use AirPods, and I still like them. But everybody agrees that the fit is not something that everybody likes. Also, the sound quality is to okay. So there have been a lot of requests over the years. During 2019, there was a mid-refresh for AirPods 2, which gave us a new H1 chip and a wireless charging case. But everything was still the same, and there were more and more complaints. Finally, in September or October, whatever month it was, Apple finally released the AirPods Pros. They're refreshed, revamped, redesigned headphones with a lot of new features and everything that everybody has asked for. So without further ado, let me get this review started. So let's talk first thing, unboxing. Now, when you open up the AirPods Pros, the first thing you agree to is a great Apple unboxing. You know I love Apple's unboxing. There's no denying that. So out of the box, you get your headphones. You also get your USB-C to Lightning cable and a pair of ear tips. Now, important disclaimer, something you guys need to know. These ear tips are proprietary, which means Apple has secretly found a clever way to keep everything proprietary and make more money if they have to ditch the Lightning port, which I still don't think is going to happen. But if you lose these ear tips, you have to buy them through Apple, or unless the third market starts to pick up and start making new versions. But Apple, you always find a way to make things hard. But we will discuss that later. So, taking a look at the headphones themselves, when you open them up, you can obviously see there is a brand new design. The headphones have an all new design and shape. They basically are still now in-ear style, but Apple has done something different with most headphones that we don't see. What they were able to do was make an in-ear headphone without the stem or tip. Now, in most in-ear headphones, you have a little stem. You guys know what I'm talking about. Well, Apple flushed it, and that's why the ear tip looks the way it does. And on a big note, that also means that these are comfortable. So when I put them in my ears compared to in-ears, these things are comfortable. Now, with those ear tips allows for customized fit, which is our first positive of this video, a customizable fit. The one complaint that the first AirPods have was that they just didn't feel comfortable and it was a one-size-fit-all. With the Pros now, you can customize with small, medium, or large ear tips and maybe future ear tips down the road. But the idea of being able to customize these ear tips was something that was not possible, and I give Apple a lot of props for figuring out a nice way to make an in-ear design headphone while also giving good comfort. Next thing, let's talk the shape of these earbuds. Now, when you see these earbuds, at first glance, if you thought the AirPods were already small, these things are smaller. Like, look at these. Like, how much more smaller can they get? They fit nice and snug once you find the desired customization, and for the rest of this video, I'm going to leave them in, and I will explain why in just a second. They fit nice and flush, they have a nice feature, and I will explain that feature in just a second, but you can see they don't feel as loose as they used to before, thanks to the silicone ear tips. Now let's talk those features. So, the AirPods have noise canceller. Now, all of you have been craving for noise cancelling, and this is what you get. And might I say, the Apple noise cancelling in these are actually not bad. The way it works is it has an external microphone which scans the environment and allows for it to see where the sound of source is coming from, and by using that feedback will help to block out and isolate you, giving you almost a noise-free environment. The way these work is two ways. If you hold down on the AirPod Pros like I'm doing right now, the noise canceller turns on. Now, when I use these things out in public, they do make a big difference. From walking to school, walking to class, into the lecture hall, everything. These things block out a good amount of noise. The next feature it has is the ambient feature. Now, this is why I'm keeping them on. When you hold them again, you turn off the noise canceller and you can use the transparency mode, which allows for you to hear your environment as if you weren't even wearing earbuds. And I've got to say, that is my favorite features of these headphones. The transparency mode on these headphones are probably my favorite in a headphone right now. The fact that it's flush and it doesn't even feel like they're in my ears and I can hear everything perfectly and crisp is very nice. Now, let's talk about the iOS integration. Obviously, with AirPod Pros, you're going to have the H1 chip, so when you open the case, you're going to get that quick speed up, you're going to get that quick optimization that you normally get with AirPods, and in there, you have a third feature that nobody really talks about. You can just turn everything off. You don't have to have noise canceller, you don't have to have transparency, you can just turn it off. Now, let's discuss Android users. Now, Android users, if you buy this headphone, you're going to know that Apple doesn't really optimize these things. But thankfully, the controls on these headphones are the same as you would use them on Apple's iPhones or iPads. So at least Apple kept the controls. You now have to use squeeze gestures. 1 squeeze will be play and pause, 2 squeeze is to skip a track, 3 squeeze is to go back. And if you use the H1 chip for your blank Siri phrase, that will work. Now for Google Assistant users, there is a way around this, and I will show you at the end of the video how you can optimize these headphones for a better experience, but that'll come later. Now let's talk the main topic of this video, sound quality. Now, if you were expecting me to go crazy and go hype and go, oh my god, these are the best sounding headphones, well, don't hold your trousers that high. Let me first disclaim, these things sound like regular AirPods, so there's no big whoop. However, with that being said though, these sound much better than AirPods. These are actually better. Now let me explain. So, Apple has redesigned their speaker colon and redesigned the driver. So from going from a paper-like driver to now a full metal driver, you are now getting a better sound representation when the music is playing, and you also get a new sound. So the sound this time around, the low and mids are the emphasis with AirPods, and they sound so much better. Because this time around, because you have a driver that is more tuned, fine-tuned in my opinion, you now have better sound representation, and it honestly sounds very clean. So let me break this down. The original AirPods had very good sound for its time, but the problem was that it overdid the mids and the bass to make up for the lack. This time around, the mids are the standout and they are clean. You get a nice sound, you get good bass, it's nice and deep and you can feel it. And the mids are nice and clean. There is no distortion, no emphasis anywhere. Now for your highs and trebles, they slightly don't really work too well because there is no second driver. This is a one driver headphone, but thankfully Apple has made a compromise for that. The adaptive EQ. Now how does that work? Basically, there is another microphone facing the driver. So as the driver is playing music, the adaptive EQ plays that music to the microphone, which will adapt, helping it sound much better. That is very, very impressive, and I got to say, Apple really did a good job with this feature. So rap songs sound much better than over-bassed, overpowered. Gentle, calm, relaxing songs have a nice tone to them, and any genre music sounds nice thanks to that adaptive EQ. Now, even though I'm making a big fuss about the sound differences, again, they sound like regular AirPods, but this time around, it's more clean, better bass, and honestly just sound a little bit more crisp, if you understand where I'm coming from. So, if you were expecting a good overhaul in the sound department, you might not be disappointed, but you will be a little bit. Now, let's talk battery. So these things with the noise canceller and transparency mode either or on, you get 4.5 hours. If you turn it off in iOS, you will get 5 hours. The battery case themselves have 24 hours. This leads to our negative of the review. I wish that Apple had worked to improve the battery, because if anybody uses AirPods, 5 hours on the AirPods are still not that good, and now you're reduced to 4.5 hours. Now I will say, I have used these for a solid week, and I've had to charge them maybe once every 5 days. So this is the 7th day, so 5 days ago I charged them. Now it's 2 days after, so we'll see what happens then. You get the point. Now, I just wish that the battery life would have been a little bit different, that it would have been instead maybe 6 hours, 7 hours, like the Anker Soundcore Liberty Air 2s, but to each his own. Thankfully this time, Apple has said that they are using a new battery-like material, so it'll help with degrading batteries, but we're gonna have to wait and see a year from now, so expect a year follow-up. And lastly, before I forget, let's talk the things outside. Now, if you're wondering, if you're looking at these, you're probably wondering, what are these black things? Well, this is another positive. A lot of users complain about cabin pressure buildup, and Apple's way to do this is what the filters are for. Basically, these are filters which help to reduce cabin pressure when you're playing music. So when you have the noise canceller on, and if you feel like there's a lot of cabin pressure, these will help to reduce that cabin pressure, just like the original EarPods. Now, the original EarPods didn't do that, but they helped make them feel nice and snug, and they didn't feel like they were force clamped, because air is being able to flow in and out to relax your ears. Now, I'm not saying the EarPods had noise canceller, but it had a design similar to this, and I'm glad that Apple was able to bring this back. So overall, what do I think of these headphones? Well, let's get the positives. My first positive is the redesign. I am a big fan of Apple's in-ear headphones. Another positive that I have is the adaptive EQ. I really think that makes a big difference, especially with headphones of these calibers. Next thing, the sound quality. Sound qualities are very good. And hold on, we're not done yet. I think that they could have been a little bit better for a second driver, but Apple definitely did a good job with their customized driver, making the sound so much better than it had to be, and it just makes the AirPods sound like eh. Now let's get to the negatives. My negative is battery life. Not the charging case, but the earbuds themselves. I wish they had been a little bit more on battery. I also wish that Apple had just retuned these things, kind of made it a little more easier to use in terms of software integration with firmware updates, etc. And my last negative, which leads into it, the price. $250. Now listen, I'm not gonna say Apple overpriced these, because whether you believe me or not, I can actually make an argument for you to pay $250 for these headphones. The amount of technology that are in these things make them a notable upgrade. But I still feel that $250 is just a smudge too much. The maximum I would have paid for these headphones would have been $199. I think that's a fairer price than $249, but if you are somebody that has original AirPods and need to upgrade, this is the upgrade for you. So overall, these are solid headphones. These are the headphones Apple should have made 3 years ago. This is something that could have made them stand out. But of course, time takes a lot out of Apple, and of course, as you know, Apple and everything. But it's good that we finally have good headphones by Apple, and I can definitely approve of these if you are an iOS user. Now let's talk Google users. To my Google users, if you don't know how to use these things, well, thankfully, there is an app which I highly advise you to take advantage of. It's called Assistance Trigger, which allows you to customize the AirPod Pros for Android, where you can see your battery indication, you can use Google Assistant with the blank Google phrase, and you can also customize it to your liking with ear detection, etc. And honestly, if you're an Android user thinking of picking these up, honestly, I wouldn't say no. They're very good for what they're offering. So final thoughts, very good headphones, a little bit too pricey, but there is things here that I like, and I think Apple nailed it. Now, of course, side notes, if you can't use the Lightning port, you can use the wireless charging feature, which is nice that you can use wireless charging. Fast charging on these things, you get an hour of playback with a 5-minute charge, just some side differences. But honestly, if you're an Android user, you could just put them on a wireless charging pad or reverse wireless charging, so you don't gotta worry. So that's it for my review. I think these are good headphones. They are definitely a lot more better than what we've seen, but they could have been priced just a little bit low. But you know what? I'm not going to complain too much because there is a lot of technologies in these. And as for microphone quality, I will do that later. I am going to be doing, again, I just wanted to review these headphones. As I told you, as we move on to that last video, that will be the one where I do microphone quality, actual sound, etc. So that's it for today's episode. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Again, I'm sorry if I was over talkative. I normally do that a lot, and I'm really sorry if this is a long talkative video. So if you want to skip to points in the video where you can't stand it, just look at the timestamps down. You can get to the points where I talk about. So that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoy your AirPods. If you have them, let me know your thoughts down below. And if you're an Android user, let me know how you like using them. That's it. Thank you for watching, and peace.